I'm still not used to the new intro.
Gotta get the timing down.
I know. I just saw you start trying to talk when the bumper started. But hi, everybody. Welcome back to another .NET Community Stand-Up, .NET MAUI Community Stand-Up. It is May the 4th. May the 4th be with you.
Nice.
This is really... I already have Star Wars stuff behind me, so it's like I don't need to do anything extra. So it is Eilon, which is cool. You really themed yourself up. But
I wish Lego would come up with Star Trek themed stuff.
That would be cool. I don't think I'm going to last very long with this on my head too, because every time it moves too much, it makes noise and it's just not going to work. But had to do it to him, pretty good. If this is your first community stand-up, it is always this chaotic. I promise. We have a great time. I will talk about some blogs that came out this past month. Dave is going to talk about some community PRs, different packages and stuff that have caught his eye this past month. And then we always have a guest come on and show us something cool. This month we have, if you would like to introduce yourself,
Oh, yeah. High five.
The coordination, I tell you.
Good boy, David.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Hi, everyone. I'm Eilon Lipton, and thank you, Maddy and David, for inviting me to the show today. Some of you might know me from some of my work on Blazor-related activities. Today, we'll be talking about something that's a little bit different from Blazor. It's going to be called HybridWebView. It's a really fun experiment that I've been working on for a little while, and I'll share more about that, I think, a little bit later in the show.
Yep. And it's going to be awesome. So let's hop right into it. So for those of you who have been here before, you know that we usually use the URL list to share all of our URLs with you. Unfortunately, it was integrated with Twitter, and you can't actually edit the URL list once you've made it unless you can log in with Twitter. And the Twitter login broke because Twitter broke everything because Twitter is having a meltdown. So I can no longer log in to edit previous lists, nor can I log in to create a new list under my account. And since I always add things during the show, I didn't want to not be able to do that. So we're using good old GitHub. This is what we're using this month. I have looked at a lot of other options. I spent about 45 minutes doing this yesterday. None of them are good. So hopefully Burke and Cecil are able to fix the auth with something else that will not break randomly. But for this month, you are going plain text GitHub links. Here we go. Very exciting. So I just popped them in the chat. It's not a pretty URL. I should have shortened it. I will do that maybe at some point if I get ambitious. First chunk here is blog. So let's crank through these. First and foremost, Microsoft Build is happening in person. Very exciting. I'll be there. Dave will be there. Yep. Eilon, will you be there? No, right? You can't.
I wasn't invited.
You aren't invited. But
We'll sneak you in the side door.
Yeah, that's perfect.
I'll serve hors d'oeuvres to people or something.
That's a good idea. I'll bring you in as my special guest. We have a Maui session and a Maui discussion. I don't know what the difference is. We also have some lightning demos that are happening. There's a whole set of just 12-minute demos that you can go watch, which I think is pretty cool. There's also this thing called the Expert Meetup, which I'm pretty sure is just booths, but it's different. I don't know how, but I have a shift in which I stand there and you get to come up and talk to me and I talk to you too. So it sounds like a booth. I don't know why we're not just calling it booths, but Expert Meetup makes me feel special because makes me an expert. Dave will also be an expert, I imagine. I hope we have to make sure we're scheduled at the same time, man, because if we're not.
Well, the whole Maui PM team is going to be there. So,
yeah.
With absent Chris, I guess, but
yeah,
our boss.
Yeah, but
so
Beth
there'll be
Matthew
plenty
will
of
be
us
there, and Becky Buckler will be there. So very cool. Apparently, Hanselman is doing something. Developer Joy. So yeah, there's also going to be online stuff. I think they're really trying to see how hybrid we can make it. I don't know. I have no idea what this build is going to be like. I'm very excited. I think it's going to be fun.
Well, we had MVP Summit just a few weeks ago in Redmond on campus, and
Yes.
there were more people there than I expected for the first in-person MVP Summit in years. But it was so nice to see people, shake hands, have meals. So hopefully we just continue this trend with build and enough people show up and we have a good time. There's nothing really replaces. What's up with your cursor? It's like
It's
glitching.
a StreamYard bug. I just noticed that. I figured it would be fixed by now, but oh well.
Yeah, but nothing replaces that in-person stuff. Really excited. And actually, shameless plug. Right before build, I will be in Antwerp, Belgium for Techorama. So if you are nearabouts, I don't know if tickets are still available or not, but come on out to Techorama, Belgium.
Yeah, they are.
If you're in the vicinity, I'll be around. Take me to your favorite restaurant. Show me your favorite sites.
Ooh, hold on. Speakers. You on here?
I hope so.
Oh, look at this list. Ooh,
Yeah, it's a good list.
It's an all-star cast.
that's pretty good.
It's one of the more fun conferences that I've ever been to and been a part of.
God,
Always
there
very
he
well
is.
themed, very well attended.
That's my guy.
I look the same, don't I?
You do. Really, your hair is actually the exact same today, so it's perfect. All right, cool. So yeah, come to build if you can, and if not, watch things online. And if you don't want to do that, there will be others. I don't know. All right. Maui is officially in .NET 8 previews. Very exciting. Dave writes these beautiful blogs every month that I refuse to write because they are a lot of work, and he writes them very well. But just for the record, some of our focuses for .NET 8, lots of bug fixes. That's pretty much it. A ton of memory leak fixes. Jonathan Peppers has been basically just identifying and solving memory leaks. He did that for about 6 months. It's pretty crazy.
I was in a meeting this morning, and Mr. Peppers says, I think I found a performance improvement that will affect every event that gets called for Android. And I'm like, that sounds like a big deal. Give me some benchmarks, record videos. So we'll have some of that stuff at build, and we'll certainly be sharing it as it happens in the blogs too. But always a welcome status update when you find something like that on a beautiful Thursday morning.
Yep. Question in the chat: how do you check for memory leaks? There's a couple different wikis that Peppers and others have put together about how to profile your Maui apps and ways to inspect that. I would give those a good old Google. We're also working on profiling stuff, so like tools. So eventually it will be all much easier. Dave gave you all a sneak peek of this at the last community stand-up, but you can now just click in and download like NuGet packages to test out the latest Maui builds. So you don't have to wait for us to push them as a workload. You can just go and grab them from GitHub internet. Yeah, so if there are bug fixes and previews you need, like this is a great way to do it.
Yeah, so that's for .NET 8, and that is you do need to have a compatible .NET 8 SDK installed with the runtime. So you can't just put these NuGet packages on top of anything and expect them to work. And as you can see here in the blog, Net 7 we have in the works, and hopefully we can get that merged as well. There's some things that need to get ironed out before we can enable that for all the Net 7 stuff. But
cool. Love it. We heard your feedback and we acted upon it. It's pretty good.
Are you snacking on tendies? What are you snacking on?
Ritz crackers. Oh, do you like my shirt?
I did. I've been waiting for an opportunity to call it out.
Okay, so I was at the Celtics game last night. Go Celtics. The place
that we talking sports?
Yeah, no. I'm not.
You started it
because I don't want to talk about the other sport that happened. There's a place at the TD Garden wherever you get fried chicken, like chicken tenders. It's called Lucky's Chicken because Lucky is the Celtics mascot. Mm-hmm. And so for this series, they started making t-shirts for Lucky's Chicken. So they now have a Tendies shirt. They have one that says, my garden has buckets. And then they also have a bucket hat with an embroidered bucket of chicken on it, which is amazing. And when I got this shirt, they gave it to me instead of in a bag. They gave it to me in the chicken tender bucket.
Like,
Truly,
like a clean bucket, or was it like greasy with crumbs in it?
it was a clean bucket, fortunately.
Just checking.
Until I spilled my popcorn into the bucket while I was trying to carry too many things at once. But yes, this is the most brilliant piece of merchandise I've ever purchased. If you are not someone who's a chicken tender fan, or affectionately refers to them as tendies, and that's what it is, chicken tendies. Yep. I'm also a nugget fan, nuggies, but they are different than tendies. Whole different feel. Anyways. It's good that I talked about that during, you can all see, Sands of Maui,
Is this live?
200.
Is this live?
Yeah. This is live. Sam, congratulations, dude. That's amazing. Sam has been writing these since early on in the Maui preview life, because there's 100 of them and they come out every week. And there's a whole lot of stuff that he usually puts in them, big blogs that we've come out on the .NET side, other packages, whatever. They're really helpful. And then, hey, that's me. I gave him a quote, which he kept asking me for. And I was like, yeah, Sands of Maui is great. And he's like, can I have a quote? And I was like, yeah. And then I never actually gave him a quote. And then I did finally. But my quote is now, Sam, thank you for doing this. This is amazing.
Sam's here in the chat.
Oh, good. Hi, Sam. Hi. Thank you for your amazing work. And all the other people who have helped with Sands of Maui. And then the person who has been showcased the most under the last 100 of them, Gerald versus Lewis, local celebrity. So the Sands of Maui app is coming. Believe it or not, it's a Maui app. Who would have thought?
Shocker.
But yeah, so just FYI. And then, oh, there's a giveaway. What is a raffle copter? Is it a
Signing
raffle?
up for an Amazon gift card?
Oh, I see. It's a platform, and then you get a gift card. But the contest is no longer happening. That's okay. Anyways, so yeah, Sands of Maui is great. I read them every week. Give them a scroll. Thanks, Sam, for all of his hard work, because it's super appreciated. On also the Telerik blog, the Progress Telerik blog, Rosita talked about part 5 of migrating from Xamarin to Maui. So we've been doing a lot of talking to people about migration the past couple months. It turns out like people are really doing it. Y'all are doing it, and you're doing a really good job. And compared to a year ago where it was like, I can't even think about it because none of my packages are there. Packages are actually not the issue anymore. There are like niche things, and we'll see that throughout this and a couple of the other blogs. But this one has my favorite tip in it, which is make a new Maui project, and then you can use Upgrade Assistant and copy paste things over if you want to do single project. We have the in IDE Upgrade Assistant, which is an extension you can get. Just download it from the extension gallery. That gives you the option to make a new project and like migrate things over as well. But if you want to use the single project architecture, most people I've talked to have had better luck migrating into a new single project Maui app and copy pasting things over than trying to take their existing Xamarin Forms app and turn it into a single project app. Just FYI. Some other cool things here. Layout behavior, things that are important. The biggest thing you'll notice is if you had been using default styling on like labels and buttons and stuff, padding and margin and all that, we made those 0, and the default used to be like not 0, which was weird. So those things will go. But most people, if you have styled your app even a little bit like that, you've already styled over it. So it's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. While we're on migration, let me actually skip to this one. So Andreas met with us this month too. Very exciting. This one is he has a couple of very niche scenarios, but this one this blog in particular is about talking Xamarin Forms embedding. So that was when you had Xamarin Android or Xamarin iOS apps, and then you wanted to start shoving some Xamarin Forms code into those things without rewriting your whole app in Xamarin Forms. And now you need to get it to Maui. There's a lot of moving pieces. But he has some great tips here. Talks a little bit about how embedding works with Maui. Pretty much the same. And then, of course, the road bumps and how he's kind of worked around those. So check that out for sure if this is something that you are struggling with or thinking about. But people have done it. Andreas has done it, so it's possible. Publishing with one command. What? 50-minute test flight deployments to 50 seconds. .NET Publish, basically. That's basically all this blog is. It is a one-line .NET Publish command that just makes your life easier. Yeah, cool. I like this stuff. And then he actually goes in and explains it. First prototype makers. Some other notes and things. Just cool. I love when people do things that are easy. So yeah, if this is something you struggle with, you just have to have Xcode and, all the Xamarin oh my God, I can't believe I just did that. All the Maui bits on your Mac. All right. Finally, I saw this yesterday. I'm very excited. Uno came out with an update for their VS Code extension that allows debugging Maui apps. So if you've used Comet before, it looks and feels a lot like Comet to me. I only played with it for a few minutes yesterday, but it's very similar to that. So if that's something you're looking at, this is a cool thing to do. I would check it out.
Love it. I love that, it's all .NET ecosystem stuff, and we can all benefit from it and share code and do cool stuff. And of course, it works with Uno's WASM as well. And it looks like Linux too. Mm-hmm. So, hey, pretty cool.
Super cool. My question for those of you who are familiar with Uno, where's Windows? Should I just imagine it works on Windows, or does it not? Because I never used the Uno extension before because I wasn't doing Uno development except just to look at it and be like, cool. So yeah, someone tell me about Windows. But anyways, that's that. I would check it out. And that is it for the blogs. So I'm going to paste these back. Post. Dave, we are off to you whenever you're ready.
I'm going to share a screen. Mm-hmm. Dun, dun, dun. Just the whole window, entire screen. All right.
Dad, you ready?
Yeah, whenever.
All right, good. Ooh.
So it's actually the Xamarin UI test agent. What's it called?
You just had it up, I thought.
Well, so there's actually this. This is what I was looking for.
Oh, TestCloud.Agent, yeah.
So for those who have UI tests written in Xamarin UI tests, and you've been using TestCloud, or maybe even run them locally, I think Android has worked for a while on .NET 6+, but iOS, no. And so this release as of 15 days ago, I have heard through numerous sources of people who actually write and run UI tests that it works with Maui. So if you have a suite of tests and you've been holding off on your upgrade, or you've been just waiting to run your tests against your Maui app, go grab this, give it a shot. We have a blog that is drafted and forthcoming. Sweeky and Gerald have been collaborating on that, and it'll show up on the Xamarin blog. But if you already run UI tests, then you already know how to run UI tests, and you can just go do it. So I thought that was a good thing to start the community stuff off with. I also wanted to re-highlight, I think I've talked about this before, but and maybe I should zoom. Nope, wrong way. There we go. So John Dick Reth has done an FFImageLoading.Compat package for NuGet. It's a drop-in replacement for FFImage if you're coming from Xamarin Forms. And so he's currently working on some CI naming conflict, package name reserved, blah, 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 NuGet funness, to get a package built so that you can just grab the package. But in the meantime, grab this, build it, insert it into your Maui project after you've done your upgrade. And it works. We have customers that we have delivered this to, and they have confirmed it does what it does. Does its thing. Success. I love success. Also from John Dick, and I think I also may have highlighted this before, but I want to keep pointing this out. So he has 2 command line tools that you can install off of NuGet. This one is AppleDev Tools, and it facilitates things like listing and booting your simulators for iOS, listing your devices, doing some of those provisioning and keychain related things, all from the command line. So in the absence of other options, or if you just want to stay completely away from Xcode, then this is a great option for you. He also has an Android command line tool that does very similar things, which, you know, and as I've been using more VS Code myself on my Mac, I've enjoyed using that because when you do a .NET build run net 8 Android, for example, it needs to know what the emulator is. And if you don't have one already open, it says, oh, sorry, nice try. So saves me some time there. Community toolkit. So Vladislav is on a binge. He's constantly putting out some amazing stuff into the community toolkit. And so badge counter, who doesn't love to have a badge? I feel like when I first started working on Xamarin Forums, everybody's like, I need a badge. How do I do a badge? I want to do a badge. This is a badge, if you were wondering. It's just one of those numeric incrementers, and you want to be able to put it on all kinds of stuff. You want to put it on, you know, icons like this, on tabs, on names, on profile faces, on avatars. And so, hey, this is an open PR implementing this proposal. Check it out. I'm sure it's amazing. Vladislav is probably the top contributor these days to the community toolkit. And like I said, he's on a binge, so he's on a run. He's sprinting to the goal line. Speech to text. So we have text to speech, but sometimes you want to do more with speech to text. So this is an implementation of, again, a proposal. They do a really good job of their workflow on proposals to PRs. So does all the things. And if I recall, let me go back to the PR. I also noticed that Jay from Tizen has also contributed the Tizen implementation. Kamsamnida, Jay. Appreciate that. And I was very excited to see this. You've probably also seen this. I know the community toolkit has their own stand-up, but keyboard extensions from Shane. Thank you, Shane. The ability to have more control over the soft input keyboard, soft being the one that just pops up over your screen, right? So being able to detect when it's open, being able to manage its open close states and all those sorts of things. Some nice stuff. This one's already merged. It's in the latest release of the .NET Community Toolkit for Maui. So check that out. And actually, I don't have the PR here in front of me, but let's go look for it. We got time, right? It's 12:28. So in .NET Maui, you're in pull requests. We can go search for keyboard, and we go look for TJ. So TJ from the iOS SDK team has been doing some awesome work on keyboard related, all the related keyboardy things, being able to go next, making sure that it indexes properly, making sure that everything is always visible and things like that. So big shout out to TJ. This is awesome. I can actually play a video. Look at this. So it's going to do all the right things. select an entry. It makes sure that it scrolls to the right position. All the stuff is still visible within the scroll view area. All the things that you would expect and need, including if you have a really big entry or editor field, it even knows how to scroll to where the text is, not just scroll to the control. So that's pretty slick. I really appreciate that. And if you have entry fields that are horizontal and vertical, it also knows now how to move between those on all the platforms. So this happens to be an iOS specific fix, but as you could see here, there are a bunch of fixes that have been coming in recently, mostly from TJ. And then the crowd went wild. I'm not actually watching the chat, so. Yep, they're going wild. I can totally see it. All right, couple more.
Can I say, I just want to say these things are fantastic. Like if you're on the community toolkit, these are those things that like any individual feature might be like, man, I mean, badge, I mean, whatever. I can just show some text in parentheses on the side. Like you want a badge. It's one of those things that can take a good app and just make it look amazing, like look like all the coolest apps. And then combined with these features that and fixes that we're adding into the core of Maui, sometimes they're only paper cuts, but then there's the expression death by 1,000 paper cuts. Yeah, maybe only one. If there's one little thing, it's a paper cut. But these things like the keyboard experience, like when TJ demoed his improvements at a team meeting that we had recently, and like everybody's jaw dropped, like, oh, this is exactly how I really want it to be, and these things are coming, and it's just wonderful. Like that everybody who's used any mobile device at some point has used an app where you tap in a text box and then the keyboard hides it and you can't see what you're writing. Everybody's had that experience, and it's so annoying. And so seeing these kind of fixes go in, where for a lot of them, you, the developer of the app, don't have to do anything. It's just automatic in Maui is the beautiful part of it. So.
Yeah. Yep. And that's where we want to be with all the things. Maybe I'll end on this one, but I noticed this from, I think his name is Johnny. His name's not on here, but he also, Matt, he didn't show the cool design work that he did recently. You should pull that up, and we should showcase that, because it was a lot of really interesting thought and stuff. He and perhaps some others came up with a logo concept for Maui, which just, like I said, I thought it was a really well done presentation and a lot of good thought that went into it. And you can see that they have some design sense here as well. Here is a slot machine control that you can add to your Maui app. And you may be thinking, when would I ever need to use this? You will. I've had to build at least 2 or 3 of these in my career. And every time I do it, I have to remember the logic behind making things repeat, et cetera, et cetera. So very cool. Love it. Or maybe you work for
the chat. So
you did? Okay.
If you want to pull it up on your side, we don't have to do this screen share thing.
So, and it's a cool little website. I don't know if this is a custom website or a, WordPress theme. Either way, it's a nice scroll experience. So it talks about how, Maui comes from Xamarin. So you have the Xamarin branding and everything, breaks down the logo and some of the elements of the design that stand out and make it what it is. And then talks about some of the iterations. I mean, I think if you're into design and process and things like that, the multiple iterations and the evolution of the idea is always very interesting to see. And then it comes up with some concepts, and then there's the animation that kind of shows the building of the outcome of the iteration, and that's the mark that they come up with. So it's hard for me not to see somebody doing yoga at this point, or like a trust exercise at some kind of a, trust building thing. But great concept and thinking. Love it. Love seeing somebody in the community out there investing this kind of time and effort into, the product that we're building and brand ideas around it. And who wouldn't want swag? Who wouldn't want a hoodie? I love hoodies. I basically live in hoodies. I just happen to not be wearing one today. So there you go.
I had a hoodie once.
You had a hoodie once.
Just one.
My family members keep stealing them from me.
Mm.
I
Got
was
another hoodie, got stolen. Got another hoodie, got stolen.
I was in a meeting yesterday with a customer and some of our colleagues, and it was funny to me. All the customers were wearing collars, you know, and then all the Microsoft people, it was hoodies or t-shirts. And I was like, this is so interesting. There's something going on here.
Yeah,
Anyway.
that sounds right.
Cool. So I think with that, I want to dig into what our good guest brought to share with us. You, dear sir.
Well, okay, let's see. Let me see if I can share a screen. Otherwise, it's going to be a very short.
I saw some love in the chat, by the way, for mobile Blazor bindings.
I saw that too.
Yes, I did. Yeah, that's right. I did not. Let's see. Entire screen one or screen two. My screen one is on that side and screen two is on that side. That's very, I don't know how I did that, but.
Oh, all right. It's there. You want me to show it? Show in Visual Studio, it looks like.
All right. Is it a Visual Studio and a web browser next to each other?
Yes. Is that good?
All right. Go for
Whoa!
it.
All right, there we go.
All right. So let me speak just briefly about mobile Blazor bindings. So that's not what's on the screen right here. Mobile Blazor bindings, there's no work planned on it right now, but we definitely talk about it every so often to kind of figure out what might be the future of it. For anybody wanting to play around with mobile Blazor bindings, which uses Blazor syntax for rendering native MAUI controls. So MAUI's built-in vertical stack layout and shell and button and label, all the standard MAUI controls that you might normally use from XAML. We've built an adapter for it to use Blazor syntax. So you can mix C# and markup to generate native controls. It's a project that I started several years ago now. For me, it was put on hold because I had to work on some other things, but a community member who goes by the name of Dreams Escaper created a fork called Blazor MAUI Bindings. I apologize for forgetting the exact name. But he has created a fork and published updated packages. They're compatible with .NET MAUI. And I believe that individual, Dreams Escaper, uses the project for some of his own projects that he works on, but it's out there. So if anybody wants to try out using Razor syntax for building .NET MAUI cross-platform apps, go check out the fork of the project. There's NuGet packages and so forth. So I don't have any more updates on that right now, but it's something we definitely want to get back to in the future when the time is right, perhaps. So with that, I decided to start out with a little poem that I wrote because we've been reading Dr. Seuss books 10 times a day, every single day for the last 5 years to our kids. So today I'll show an experiment that could be useful to you. It's for mixing JavaScript and MAUI, and it's called HybridWebView. We love Blazor and C#, but it's not always an option. Sometimes you've got a bunch of JavaScript and an enormous concoction. With HybridWebView, you take your existing JavaScript code. Maybe you've built it with React, Angular, or Node. Don't forget any files or you'll find out you missed them. And then integrate your app using an interop system. With interop, you can call C# from JS and JS from C#. Don't worry, it's easy and a beautiful art. With HybridWebView, you take JS, HTML, and CSS styles all mixed together in .NET MAUI apps and files. The files all get embedded natively in your .NET MAUI app. You did it. It's native in JS. Now pat yourself on the back. With all the time you saved, you'll never forget that with .NET MAUI, you can build the best apps yet. Now, hopefully, the demo was as cool as the amazing poem.
That was so good. That was so good.
Do I have a microphone I can drop? No, I don't have a microphone I can drop. Pretend I had a microphone I could drop.
That's pretty. How long did that take you?
Well, 5 years of reading Dr. Seuss books.
Okay.
And then like 2 minutes of typing text into Notepad.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
All right. Wow, that's a talent. I'll give it to you.
Well, hopefully I have some talent in building actual HybridWebView controls too.
No, you don't need that with that kind of poetry skills.
Can
the chat loves it. Thank you, chat.
A hybrid MAUI poetry control or something like that? Should I close Teams? Because otherwise there's going to be like
Yeah.
So if you click
or
on
do
the
not
if you
disturb
click on
it.
the clock in the bottom right,
clock.
and then you go to the very, very top.
Oh,
Yeah,
snooze.
that little thing. That will turn off your notifications for a bit.
Do not disturb. All right. Sorry, team members. Oh, can I hide? Hide. All right. Wonderful. Well, hopefully enough of you are still with us. What I figured I'd do is just kind of walk through the tutorial in the project and maybe say a few interesting things about it. So I'll be talking about this hybrid web view control. You can check it out on my GitHub. So it's Eilon/HybridWebView. So come check that out. There's NuGet packages and everything. And I'm going to walk through, there's a little bit of introduction in here, but I'm going to go through this getting started part. You can just watch me walk through it. So to get started, first thing we're going to do is create a .NET MAUI application. Doesn't really matter what the name is. We'll pick .NET 7, get that created. Now, this application is a standard .NET MAUI application, and it uses XAML to define its content. But I'm going to instead use a hybrid web view to define my content. So the first thing we're going to do is right-click on the dependencies, manage NuGet packages, and I'm going to search for this ejl.maui hybrid web view. Where is my package manager? Manage NuGet packages. I said manage NuGet packages. Maybe I was
thinking about
in the background. Manage NuGet packages. Help me, Jean-Luc Picard. You're my only hope. Why is this not working?
It's lost its mind.
Oh my gosh. And I just ran through the demo just prior to this meeting.
Yep. No, time to restart Visual Studio. It's your only choice.
No, I'm not going to restart it.
I've never seen that happen
I'm
before.
going to do this. I'm going to do it hardcore mode.
Wow. Look at this.
Include that version equals 1.0.0. So I don't know what's happening, but fortunately, we've got a cool text editor here. So now it's going to restore, it's going to download and restore the packages. And we should see here that the ejl.maui hybrid web view package is installed. All right, great. So this pulls in, this is an experimental project. Yes, because people just tuned in and then, everything broke. This is a standard demo fail. But now that we got the demo fail out of the way, everything else is going to be smooth sailing. Great. So we installed the NuGet package. Now, the first thing you want to do when you import some custom control is tell .NET MAUI that you're using those controls. So we're going to jump ahead here to this step 4, and in MAUI-program.cs, you can register all kinds of custom services and register any custom controls that you're using. So here we're going to call the add hybrid web view method. Now the hybrid web view control is available in the rest of my application. For the UI, I'm going to go ahead to the main page, delete all the content that's in there, and register an XML namespace, import the EJL hybrid web view namespace. EJL, my initials, by the way, that's why everything is EJL. And let's put in this hybrid web view control. I'll format it on a few lines so that it fits here on my supersize Visual Studio font. So this is the new control that is available in this package. It's an experimental project that lets you build hybrid applications, which when we say hybrid applications, that means you are mixing some HTML, CSS, and JavaScript into a C# native application that runs cross-platform everywhere the .NET MAUI runs. So Android, iOS, Windows, and Mac. And we've got a few properties here. The first is the hybrid root. This tells us where is all of your HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. What is the main file to load? So if you just go to the root of this web application, what should you load? And then there's an event handler saying, what should you do when a message is received from JavaScript to .NET code? Great, we've defined the markup, and that's all we have to do in here. Everything else, as far as code goes, we're going to delete the default template content, so we don't need this counter logic anymore. And instead, I'm going to wire up this event handler. So if we take a look back at the XAML file, we saw this event handler raw message received on hybrid web view. Raw message received, very, very wordy, but very descriptive. And I can go to definition, go here. Here's a method. So every time a message is received from JavaScript, it's going to dispatch this code and run it on the correct thread and display a little alert. Wonderful. This is a fully functional app from the .NET perspective, but where's my HTML and JavaScript? Well, I don't have any yet. Now, for the sake of this demo, we're just going to do something pretty simple. So we saw here in the main page XAML that I said that all my content is in something called hybrid_root, but that doesn't exist yet. So in the resources folder in Visual Studio, there's a raw folder. This is for raw resources. Raw means just any file you want, whatever kind of file you want. Maui's not going to touch it. All it's going to do is it's going to package it up and deliver it with your application to the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store or your Windows application, whatever it is, whatever files you put in here, it's just going to ship it along with your app. One thing that I want to show here is not directly related to the demo, but show a feature in Visual Studio that some people might not be aware of. So I can go here to add a new item, and you get this new dialog box. I'm not going to create any folders or files directly. I'm going to just add hybrid_root/index.html. And even though the folder and the file doesn't exist, Visual Studio figures that out, parses it. So I figure some of you may have seen this, but some of you might not have. So it went ahead and created the folder because it knows where the slashes are and created an HTML file for me. Thank you, Visual Studio. And whoever added that feature to Visual Studio, thank you. It is such a time saver. Otherwise, it's a lot of clicks. All right. Now that we have the file, this is our main file, if you remember what we specified. I'm going to copy this pretty simple HTML in here. And let's take a look at what we have here. As far as the HTML content goes, it's got a simple text box and a button that when you click on it, calls a send message to C# method that we haven't defined yet. Oh, and I apologize that cursor looks like it's doing the weird cursor jumpy jiggly thing. So that's, yeah, I guess you're saying StreamYard does that for us. So thank you. And we haven't defined that method. So let's take a look here at what scripts we're importing. The first script is a built-in script. So it's called _HWV/HybridWebView.js. Now that's a file I don't need to add to my project. The HybridWebView, when it detects that you're accessing this particular file name, serves up a built-in file that has some interop functionality so that C# and .NET can talk to each other. And then the next one here is a file that we're going to create called myapp.js. So let's go ahead and create that. Add new item, myapp.js, and we'll copy from the documentation, copy this little method. So if you remember here in the HTML, in the button, every time you click, it's going to call a method called send message to C#. In this file, there's that method. What does it do? Well, you don't have to be a JavaScript expert to understand this, and I am not a JavaScript expert, but all it does is it goes to the text box, gets the value, and it calls a built-in method that we imported called HybridWebView, and it sends a raw message to .NET. And then if we go back here to the event handler, we see raw message received, and that's going to call our event handler. So I think that's all we need. Let's go ahead and run the Windows version of that. This part's definitely going to work. Of course it's going to work. Of course it's going to work. It's going to work. It's going to work. There we go. All right. So this is the, of course it's not going to work. Oh, come on. We'll run it one more time. All right, there we go. I don't know what's going on. This is because I'm sharing a screen. That's why. So here, this content here, this is all HTML. You can kind of see because I can select it. There are ways to disable that so you can't select it, and also it's using Times New Roman font. That's how you know something is wet. If it's Times New Roman, it's wet. So
why is that still the fallback?
You know, it's just a thing. It's just a thing. It's how you tell apart like the lazy developers who couldn't even be bothered to set a simple style like me right now, from people who are willing to invest 10 seconds in creating one line of CSS to set the style. All right, and why don't we set a breakpoint here as well. So here inside this HTML text box, I typed in some text. I'll hit send to C#, and then sure enough, here in the C# code, we see the message was received. And if I make this a little bit bigger, we can see in the event arguments here, it might be a little small, but trust me, it says, "Hi, Maddy, David," and we'll hit continue. And sure enough, we got this native .NET MAUI pop-up. And just for a little bit of completeness, just to show, also runs on Android. We'll run it on got my Pixel emulator already running here. Same exact experience. So it's going to build the Android version of this application. I was trying to get, I have my Mac is sitting right here, but it was stuck on some updates. So unfortunately, I can't actually show the Mac. I was going to hold it up to the screen, but you just have to take my word for it. So it's building the Android version of this. And again, the exact same code, the same HTML, same JavaScript all there. And for some reason, of course, yeah, my CPU is going wild.
Yeah, your audio is glitching too.
Oh, is it really? Yeah, I've only got.
It
You're
was
fine
as
right
your
now.
CPU went, and now it's going back.
I've
so.
only got like an Intel Core i10 with 128 gigs of memory.
Right.
Know. But once you're sharing a screen, it's kind of all bets are off. All right, here's that same application. So, hi. Oh, what's the R2D2 a droid? So it's sure we'll do that. So here, because we're on Android, sent to C#. Again, I can debug this from Visual Studio. My event handler was received, and here's that message. We'll hit F5 to continue, and sure enough, exactly that same experience from Android as well. Now, this was a pretty simple application, but in only a few minutes, including some demo fails, it worked just fine. So anybody here who's watching can go to this repo, github.com/Eilon/HybridWebView, follow the instructions, and assuming that you can just follow what's in the video or follow the steps that are in here, in just a matter of minutes, you can integrate JavaScript and C# in an application and use HTML to display your UI. What I also have here is, that's a pretty simple application. Now, if you go to the repo on there, let me make this a little bit bigger. There are some other samples on here. So there's the MAUI C# Interop WebView app that just has some very kind of custom written JavaScript and HTML. But what I also did is I found a React-based to-do sample that somebody else had written on the web. I forked it and just made a few really small tweaks to it such that it can send messages between C# and JavaScript to manage things. So you can check out that sample here, and I'll run it. And this will look like a more realistic application compared to my text box and button. So this application you see here, this is all here. First of all, you can see that whoever wrote this bothered setting the font. So that actually looks kind of nice. It's not Times New Roman. Nothing against, well, actually I have a lot against Times New Roman, but here we can do a to-do. So let's say polish your demos and test them better. And click add. And we saw from that JavaScript, it has invoked this time, instead of sending a raw message, we also have built-in support for calling methods. So here it's calling the add task method and passing in a to-do task object from JavaScript. So here it's not completed. It's got some randomly generated ID. And here is the content. And it's going to add it. In this case, it's just adding it to an in-memory. I think there's just a list of tasks. It's not actually storing it anywhere, but you could imagine it makes a web request or stores it in a database or something like that, which would be perfectly fine to do from here. We can continue the application, and then sure enough, eat, sleep, repeat, polish your demos, and test them better. And for that functionality, pretty simple. The main thing you need to do with a hybrid web view is hook up. You have to set a JS invoke target on the hybrid web view, and you tell it what class has public methods on it that you want to call. And that class is defined here, the to-do.js invoke target. And then all of these public methods, such as add task, edit task, delete task, and so forth, just take in whatever parameters you want, such as simple data types like string or int, or complex data types like a to-do task. And this is just a simple class that I've defined that has the ID, name, and whether it's a Boolean for whether it's completed. And you can call those, and you can do the same thing back and forth. You can call JavaScript from C# and C# from JavaScript, either sending raw messages, which are just strings with whatever content you want, or invoke methods back and forth between the two systems. So this is back to the fundamentals of this project. This is an experiment. This is not an official part of .NET MAUI yet. There is a NuGet package that I publish on there, and we're going to try to find a new home for it so we can get more feedback on this. So if this looks like something that you want to use in your application, you have some existing JavaScript, or there's people on your team, or you just want to take some existing JavaScript projects, whether it's React or Angular, it doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and it's a client-side application, you can embed the whole thing inside your .NET MAUI app. And it doesn't require any network connectivity. There's no web server. There's no HTTP. It's just loading those HTML files locally in the application and enabling the interop between JavaScript and .NET. So give us feedback on that. Try it out. You can post issues on the repo, and I've been monitoring that and responding to some of the questions and comments and working with folks on adding some new features to that. And let us know so that we can hopefully in the future make it be a feature of .NET MAUI for everyone to use. So not just an experiment, but a real proper feature. I have not been watching the chat. That's all I had for the demo. I have not been watching the chat. So I don't know if there's any questions or comments.
So Mark Kaufman says this is how MAUI replaces Electron.
Well, you know, we'll see. Not that I necessarily have any doubts, but the point is that Electron has been very popular for a lot of things. Like everybody here is probably using or has used many Electron apps before. And the value is clear in that you have a lot of people and assets based around JavaScript and HTML and CSS, and you often want to build a native experience for that. And with .NET MAUI, you just like with Electron, you can build that cross-platform experience, except that with .NET MAUI, you also get the power of C# and Visual Studio, all the debugging, the libraries, NuGet packages, all those things. And so, yeah, I think it can be a viable solution for somebody who wants something like Electron, but wants the experience of .NET and Visual Studio, C# and all the packages and things that you're familiar with. Now, I come from a Blazor background, and so I love Blazor, and Blazor also does a lot of the same things with a built-in Blazor WebView in .NET MAUI. But as my amazing poem said earlier, sometimes you don't have Blazor. It's not an option for you. You already have existing assets. So that's exactly what this application here is. I took an existing React demo application, and the only thing I changed is that it was storing all the to-do list in memory in JavaScript. I just changed it so that everywhere you add, remove, delete to-do items, it sends a message to C#, so to track it in C#. That's the only thing I did. I didn't change any logic of the application as far as how the UI is done. It's just whatever React stuff. I just hit, I don't remember what the command was, some kind of yarn React node webpack thing. I don't even remember what it was. So I just followed their instructions for how to use their React client-side application. And it was easy. It really didn't take almost any effort to do it.
Love it.
Cool.
Love it.
Another question, how is it any different than a hybrid Blazor app in a WebView 2 from Nicholas the Pumpkin Man, based on that avatar?
It's called a jack-o'-lantern, actually.
Oh.
So how is it different? Conceptually, it's exactly the same. The hybrid WebView and the Blazor WebView are conceptually exactly the same. The key difference is that Blazor WebView is specifically around hosting Blazor code, and as opposed to arbitrary HTML and JavaScript. That's kind of the main difference. The other difference that's notable is that in the Blazor world, because it's C# for rendering the Blazor and C# in the rest of your .NET MAUI application, they all run in the same exact application. So they can share the same static methods, the shared dependency injection based services. There is just one application. It's just that the HTML is being put into a web view to put pixels on the screen. In the hybrid WebView, it's a little bit different in the sense that this is a React-based application, and so it might have some of its own. Oh, I'm going to try to stop moving my mouse because it looks like it's showing some kind of like constellation. Maybe it is some kind of constellation. Oh, if I move that, it kind of fixes it. All right. I'll try not to touch the mouse. The React application might have some state in JavaScript that is just the nature of building a React application. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's just how you might build a React application. Whereas in Blazor, all the state would be living in the C# kind of .NET universe. Here, there's a little bit that lives in the JavaScript universe and a little bit that lives in the C# universe. But they can talk to each other, so they can send messages and coordinate and communicate and send, change notifications or update text, all the types of things that you might normally want to do.
Sweet. Can you use libraries like Bootstrap from George?
Yep, absolutely. So Bootstrap, I think, does this app use Bootstrap? I don't remember.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looks kind of bootstrappy, but
yeah, I don't know. It uses, it's all kind of compressified. You absolutely can use Bootstrap. So inside here, this is in any of these applications. There's like here, this hybrid root. Just stick the Bootstrap CSS and JavaScript files in there and just reference them as you might normally do. So, /js/bootstrap.js or /css/bootstrap.min.css, whatever the files are. Absolutely. They're just static files in the application. There's another question there, I think right below that, from Muzamil saying, is it using NOM or CDN? I'm not sure what NOM is, but as far as is it using a CDN, it's all entirely locally. There's no web, there's no HTTP, there's no remote web request. All of these files, all of these HTML files, all of the JS files, all of the CSS files, 100% of it is packaged into your application. So when you upload this to the Apple App Store, like that IPK or the Android Google App Store, the Google Play Store, the APK files. I think I got those extensions right. Inside, if you crack open that zip file, all the HTML and JS is all in there. There's no web server at all. It's just feeding all that content directly into the web view, which is exactly what we do in Blazor WebView as well. It's completely local. There's no port being opened or anything like that. There's no special permission that you need for it. There's nothing of the sort. It's all entirely local. You could disconnect your Wi-Fi and Ethernet and all works just fine.
Cool. And then we'll take one more, maybe two more, one more for now. Can these methods, I imagine this is the message passing, right? Can they return task and do async work?
Right. So that question is probably asking about methods such as this, such as add task, edit task. Yeah. If let's say I wanted to write something, send it out to a web request, I wanted to do async task, and I wanted to do some kind of await, HTTP client, dot send message. I don't think that's supported right now, but it's absolutely something that I want to add. So maybe that's the next thing that I'll work on is add support for async functionality in here, because that would be quite useful. Maybe it already works, but I don't think it does right now. I just didn't implement it yet. That's all. So async support, I'll definitely work on adding that.
Cool. And a quick answer to Nicholas in the chat. How do you debug the website like F12 in the browser? You can actually use the web tools in your local debugging on Windows. So you can use the browser tools.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, let's see if we can, so what is it? Edge, is it devices?
I just hit F12 in the app. I don't know if that actually works though.
Oh, it might actually work inside the app. So I can just click there and hit F12. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I should know these things.
No, you shouldn't. No, you shouldn't. I should know them so I look smart.
If you want to debug Android, for example, though, my app is not running here, but imagine it was running, then if you go to edge://inspect, and the same thing works from Chrome because they all use the same debug protocol, you would see here, it knows that I have an emulator running, but you would see here, it would list there, I see there's a WebView application running there. But yeah, absolutely. Here you can just click anywhere in there, press F12. You can inspect the elements in here if you want to, if I want to say for bananas remaining, then you can update the text, debug it, and you can do all the same JavaScript debugging and so forth as well in here. So, which is exactly the same as it does with Blazor WebView as well. They're surprised they're actually based on I copied a lot of code between the two to kind of make it happen. So,
yep, sick. Hey, this looks great. You're amazing. Everyone, thank you so much for joining. Cool demo. Yay. Let us know what you want to see next month. We will be fresh off of build, so it will, I'm sure, be exciting. But I think that's it for today. Eilon, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. Anytime.
We'll definitely have you back. Maybe for mobile Blazor bindings in the future. I don't know. Not that I'm going to sign you up for work that you don't want to do.
Yeah, I don't have enough work to do. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you, everybody, for joining, too. Thanks, Dave. And he's about to interrupt me to call out. There is a survey we are running. And that survey is, I hope this is the right link. Yeah, SurveyMonkey. Asking all of you for what you are building with Maui. We are looking for customer stories to showcase in a whole bunch of ways at conferences, on the website, just with our internal team and leadership. So I pasted that survey in from the official account. So you should have that in your chats. Definitely fill it out if you get a chance. even if you can't share publicly what you're working on, we still want to hear from you. We will keep it to ourselves. But, you know, we want to know what people are building with this stuff because everything we've heard so far has been pretty cool. So,
yeah, a lot of cool stuff in there. So I'm excited to see more and hear how it's going.
yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. And we will see you in a month.
Later.
Bye.
Bye.